be. So, yeah.
Well, all right, Haynes King, he was, of course, a state championship quarterback at Longview, played at Texas A&M, entered the transfer portal, visited Arizona State, visited Georgia Tech. Haynes King joins us now on 365 Sports. He's made his commitment to play at Georgia Tech. Haynes, first of all, thanks for your time. Craig Smoak, David Smoak, and Paul Catalina. How stressful, or was it, the transfer portal and kind of making this decision?
It was a little weird and different. Some days it was just chill, nothing much happening, and other days it was hectic. Most schools calling you, just hitting you up, seeing how everything's going and stuff like that. And other days it'd just be cold, it'd just be on and off. So I guess that would that part was stressful about it, because you're looking at schools, you're like, well, do they want me? Do they not want me? One day they're hitting me up, the other day they're not. So,
Haynes, it's such a strange thing for players now in college to, I mean, it's great that you have the ability to do this and play right away, but I know it's got to be stressful because when you were recruited, you thought that was it. You know, that's what you'd hope, that was where you're going to be. And then especially at your position, like you said, it can get real hot and cold real quick. What's the last couple months been like for you to deal with all that and coming to grips with moving to Georgia and all those things?
It was definitely a learning experience. My dad, our plan, as you said before, was, I committed to A&M coming out of high school. Thought that was going to be my home, always my home. And along the way, I did learn a lot of stuff and a lot of good football being played. But we felt like our best decision was trying to go find an opportunity to play somewhere else, and we ended up choosing Georgia Tech after those two visits, and that's where we are now.
So, Haynes, why was Georgia Tech the spot for you? What was it about Brent Key and obviously, shaking things up there, getting a new era going, and obviously you're a big part of getting that started. What was it about the Yellow Jackets, the program, and Brent Key that enticed you?
Well, Brent Key right now, he's I guess you'd say he kind of had like a 10-week trial already with being an interim. So right there, you can see most of the plan already being in place. So, I mean, some schools you'll see like they're talking, hey, this is our plan, this is what we're going to do, but it's not quite in place because while being recruited, you got to look at certain stuff like, hey, are they actually doing it, or is this just the sales pitch that they're trying to do? But I felt like they've already done it. They were always authentic and straightforward with us, me and my family. And the people that Brent Key is surrounding himself with at that facility, in any type of level, it doesn't matter if it's education, strength staff, nutrition, all that. The people he has around himself is the same. They're going to be straight shooters. They're for the athletes. They're trying to put everybody in the best situation possible. And along the way, Georgia Tech, they're going to play some big time games. They're going to play the Clemsons of the world and all of that. And then they have a lot of rich tradition there, and elite education as well. And it's just everything just felt like it fit in place.
Haynes, was there any similarities at all from when you were being recruited at Longview High School compared to the transfer portal?
It was a lot of similarity actually. The only difference, like I said, it's some days are hot and cold, and it happens a lot quicker in the transfer portal. You have to make your decision a lot quicker because everybody's in the transfer portal, and those days are going to close, and it's almost like musical chairs. You're going to end up having to find a seat sooner or later. If you don't, you're just going to be stuck out there. So that's the scary part. But other than that, most of everything was similar to getting recruited out of high school. But I guess you'd say on trips like that, when you're taking visits, they cut through most of the stuff that they would try to introduce to a high schooler that a high schooler doesn't know. So like I've been at A&M for 3 years. Like they don't have to tell me how college and how classes are going to go. Like you're going to have to show up, you're going to have to do this. do this and that, and so that part they can skip through the stuff and just get down into all the informational stuff. I see those are the only two differences I see.
Your dad's a coach and you've grown up in football. So does that help you in recruiting to have not only a sounding board, but also you've grown up and you know how coaches talk to each other, you know, the secret code, so to speak. You can kind of see through, people who are, like you said before, who's really interested in you and who's just calling to make sure you're on some list of theirs somewhere.
Yeah, being a coach's kid, I feel like definitely allows you to see which people are actually genuine and authentic to what they want out of you and what they want for you. But other than that, everything else was the same. He was just being a dad, just wants the best for me. But I'd say that plays a big part of it. Seeing through a lot of the people that that you believe that wants the best for you and the family. Yes, sir.
You obviously, Haynes, were in a high-profile situation and played some big-time teams and big-time games and a lot of attention. Just what did you learn about yourself? I mean, you got a lot of attention when you were, with the Lobos, winning a state title and all of that. But, I mean, it's easy to say. Like, obviously, that's a step up going to the college ranks. So through the good, the bad, the otherwise, just what did you learn about Haynes King?
Well, everybody says, you're going to learn a lot out of yourself when you're going through a lot of adversity. And I believe I played through a lot of injuries this year. And I felt like I was doing that just because I was playing for more things other than myself. I wanted to put the team in a good situation and just play for them, So I'd play through a lot of stuff that I didn't have to, but I was going to do that anyway. And I'd never quit on the team. I was going to play throughout the whole season and just figure out what happened after,
Haynes, your father told me earlier this year when I spoke with him about what his team was doing. Of course, they got into the semifinals, but he said kind of watching from afar and seeing what was going on with you and A&M, the ups and downs, the roller coaster was one of the hardest things he's ever been through. How often did you discuss that? Because he's got probably parents, players that he coaches that sometimes aren't real happy with what's going on either. How much of advice did he give you?
It wasn't too much, actually. I mean, going through it, he was being a dad, he's going to be supportive. The main deal was, we find a way to get on that field, find a way to stay healthy, and finish the season. Then we'll talk about it and we'll see about the situation afterwards. So during the season, my main focus was finishing the season with my teammates. Still keep in contact with them, but finish the season with the teammates because Coach Fisher he likes to say you only have one full year of each team, and I just want to be with the boys, finish with the teammates. Then next was to graduate, and then we were going to see about everything after that. Reconfigure everything and see which is the best situation for me.
So you went to Tempe. I think this weekend was a whirlwind, right? You flew into Tempe to visit Arizona State. Dillingham is now their head coach. Then you came back to College Station to graduate. Then what? You flew into Atlanta to visit Georgia Tech. What was that timeline, and how tired are you just of that?
I flew in Tempe Tuesday, got back Thursday afternoon, and then graduated, walked that Friday morning, then was on the plane an hour later to go into Atlanta, and then came back from Atlanta around Sunday afternoon. But it was a grind, but I knew I had to do it because most of the visits and stuff, they were going to close the 18th, and I knew I had to make my decision soon. Like I said earlier, with the portal being almost like musical chairs, and sooner or later I was going to have to find a chair to sit in where I was going to be out, and I definitely didn't want that. But I knew the two guys that were going after me. We held a prior relationship from when they were recruiting me out of high school. So I knew I could trust them and what they were telling me. and my main focus was trying to find the best situation for me. And I believe I did here at Georgia Tech.
Haynes King with us, Georgia Tech transfer quarterback with us on 365 Sports.
Haynes, just how relieved do you feel to have this decision made, to know where you're going to be playing, to know that there's a new start ahead? I mean, just all those different things. And congrats on the graduation, by the way.
Yes, sir. Thank you. But it was definitely a big relief. One, find a new home and being able to have a fresh new start, someplace else. See different scenes, and sometimes that's what people need.
Haynes, how did the last conversation go between you and Jimbo Fisher?
It went good. I called him well before I even entered my name in the portal. He was actually off recruit. I was going to go see him face to face. But with me being a coach's kid, I'm always going to close everything out right. If I decided to go or not, I'm gonna close things out right. Try to go see him face to face. He was out recruiting, so I ended up calling him because I wanted him to know before I ended up entering it. But it was good. He was supportive. He always has been. And I felt like we had a good relationship when I was there, and he definitely taught me a lot of ball. And hell, I wouldn't be here without him.
So everyone knows the expectations in College Station were as sky high as maybe ever before, and it did not work out. It was a very, very disappointing season across the board. How hard was that inside the locker room, inside the program from week to week?
It's frustrating, but you never. I'd rather having expectations too high than people not really care about you, because that means you're doing things right, and you have the chance to play some big games and win a lot of football games. But it was definitely frustrating for the whole staff and players in that locker room. But I felt like everybody found out about ourselves because half of our games, really most of them, came down to the last drive. There were one possession games came down to the last drive, and I feel like everybody kind of can see that fight in us. We never gave up, and hell, even the last game of the season against LSU, we ended up beating a top 10 opponent. LSU being a great team at that time, and it just shows like what our character is about of that team. Like Coach Fisher, he was always saying like, people see the actual character in you when stuff's going wrong, or you're just going to give up and quit, or you're going to fight your way out of it. And I believe as a team, we fought our way out of it, and we did a hell of a job.
Haynes, how much in the transfer portal today is even NIL discussed, since it's such a fast timeline? Is that even brought up?
It wasn't really brought up with us. At Georgia Tech, it was almost brought up as a business opportunity. Their big deal over there, same as A&M, is the networking. The networking you can get off of that, and also as well as the NIL at Georgia Tech, they have a little deal with internships that a lot of their athletes can get with that institution being a lot of business driven and engineering driven things there. So it was kind of cool and kind of different in the fact that everything was almost like networking based driven, and it definitely will give you a lot of opportunities because they're trying to set yourself up for life after football. So in 10, 20, 30 years, like how are you going to be living? If you use all of the opportunities and stuff that they give you over there at Georgia Tech, you should be living very healthy.
Haynes, thank you very much for your time. We appreciate it. Congratulations. Good luck in Atlanta with Georgia Tech. Appreciate it. Love watching what you did with the Lobos and also your time at Texas A&M. We appreciate you and enjoy.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Haynes King, Georgia Tech quarterback, Longview Lobo, won a state title his junior year, and then, of course, a four-star that ended up at Texas A&M and transferred in the portal and now playing for the Yellow Jackets and Brent Key.